Now, and you guys can start at it. I don't even need to like get headphones. All right.
Why do we need headphones when we're all sitting around the same table?
Yeah,
Just making sure you're speaking to the mic properly.
Well, you need a headphone to like.
Well, I'm gonna
yeah.
be just staring at you all the whole time when you hear yourself.
Well, that's true. Yeah, because Rob's going to be looking at us. We go, why are you looking at us? Then?
Yeah. No, y'all get fucking. Like, I know for sure you're already not close.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. And I made you two, so here two. Let me know if you want it quieter or louder.
Well, what I want is the fucking headphone cord out of the road of my drink.
No. Well, I'm gonna have an option for that.
it's an inconvenience.
This is welcome to Inappropriately Inconvenient.
Wait, no, I thought this is the most convenient setup ever. What are you talking about?
Tony just needs unrestricted access to his
Well, I don't ask for much.
man.
I'm like, for fuck's sake, gentlemen, just like
I don't know how to take that.
put a drink in my hand and let me go. That's all I ask.
I think, I now know what the point of the headphones is it makes Rob sound like he's in the other room.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It can be
yeah.
nicely ignored.
Exactly. God damn it. Did you,
For those of you that are following along on the podcast as the visual medium,
Yeah.
well, no, I got one of these out for you.
Okay,
So there
you
should
got
be one over. I put one over near because I thought you'd be at the far end of the table.
Oh, yeah. No, I think.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to this is Cabin Adventures Part 3. Now, if you are familiar with our podcast list, you would know that we have only published Cabin Adventures Part 1. There was actually a Part 2 delivered in 2004 that we are still waiting for it to gestate through post-production. But we thought, screw it, let's just record a Part 3 now.
Because time marches on.
Time, even if I
What
don't
happened?
update.
I got you a proper glass.
Well, did you want to try some of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't get you.
I feel like the whole reason.
I got a glass of the appropriate size for the podcasting.
Oh, fair enough.
Just fill that up.
I feel like the
Yeah,
primary reason Tony's been lobbying for us to start recording was to open up that
Just to
whiskey.
open up the single
Like,
pot Irish
gotta
whiskey.
get
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
I'd offer you some, Russ, but you're not going to
All right,
take it.
ladies, gentlemen, happy
Cheers.
birthday, Rob.
Cheers.
Happy birthday,
Cheers. So I guess we already got our opening in. So all right, so let's start taking digs. No matter what happens today, I'm going to try and upload this from the cabin's baud rate at whatever the fuck it is. I've decided that's just going out. So
It's just like a little personal FU to us.
oh yeah, an absolute like fuck. Well, no, this is my comeuppance, is what I feel.
For the audience that is unaware, the cabin is
Yeah, this is good.
if you were a networking professional, if you were somebody that had spent their life delivering the ability to get internet to any location, the description that you would use to describe the pipe connecting the cabin is a long string of barbed wire dipped in tar. So
Get up on your mic a bit better. There we go.
we're roughly in that area. Perfect. Is it more efficient to send carrier pigeons painted black and white? Or is it...
What happens if the dots and dashes get out of order?
Right.
No, I've been practicing my semaphore all morning.
There is, in fact, an RFC about sending TCP/IP over carrier pigeon. Right. So it's like RFC 1479 or something. You can go look it up.
There's a network. There's a network protocol for ham radio. I know that.
You know, but yeah. So we're recording this, and we're recording this on August 7th at 1:15 in the afternoon.
In the Northwest.
This will reach Podbean or wherever the hell we host
Podbean,
our podcast sometime around August 27th, 2026.
Yeah.
He gives me a lot of space to work in here.
No, that's just, you're going to have to leave half your gear here while it pushes the ones and zeros up the thing, right?
Yeah.
So
No,
you're
that's
saying we
it.
actually uploaded it, but it
you
took
still
that
have
long.
to start it this evening.
Yeah.
Hang on, I gotta see if these are still. Oh yeah, they are.
Oh, great.
Here, I'll make them louder for you.
There we go.
I was like, wait, is that still a thing? Yeah, I guess it is. I wasn't sure, like, so those little effects stay on the memory card. I didn't know what memory card I put in there, so I wasn't sure if it was the one from last time.
Could have been Rob's sexy effects.
Oh yeah, I was like, we need to cut this out immediately.
I knew where you were going with that as soon as you started. It could be, and I'm like,
Here we go.
You know,
Two of us need employment, Russ. What are you doing?
you know, I was looking for the handle so I could punch out, and I couldn't find it on the chair. You know,
I always wanted pants with explosive bolts.
and we're gonna move on.
You know what to do with that.
I say, if you guys get your digs in,
Well,
I'm
like-
just going to spend my time making sure it's at least as awkward for you as it is going to be for me.
You were just bitter that you don't have the barbed wire scar up your inner, your left and right upper thighs.
To be fair,
you know,
Oh, I'm not poking the spare. Never mind. You're right. We have not seen that. We'll just have to live with the stories about it. I still think you should tell that story.
no, not on the podcast.
Oh, come on. You have to.
No. The story is better told in a visual medium, such as sitting around the table on the deck of the cabin
While Tony drops trow.
with a. Well, exactly, because you sort of got to show, like, look, no, here. When I said I shit you not, I mean, look at this upper inner thigh, right? Ignore the chickens. You know, the last chicken in the shop, I'll just pull that out of the way. You can see the scar there.
Oh, man. So yeah. Do I start my excuse parade? What do we do?
Happy birthday, Rob.
Happy
Thank
birthday.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you both. Thanks for doing this with me.
I feel like your guard is up.
Dude, you guys have literally spent all weekend going like at any moment we're going to
I feel like you're just
tear them
a little
apart.
sensitive.
I'm older now.
I do feel, Russ, that he's got a little bit defensive about
Oh, no.
the speed of post-production
Yeah.
in these things. And as we were discussing on and off yesterday,
Why is my guard up? Let me count the ways.
this podcast episode should be called the pitfalls of post-production.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think
Yeah.
our concern is that, people are known for getting faster as they age. So
Well, I'm trying to do less stuff as I age. I think that's why.
Rob has been
so far so good.
Yeah.
executing.
Fuck you.
Rob has been executing post-production at the speed of 1,000 stunned sloths. Right.
We're getting there. We're going to get that.
So, and we're not lying. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are not lying.
Oh, yeah.
We recorded 3 Did we do 3 or
We did
2?
3 the last time, yeah.
We did 3. So this is Cabin Part 4. Right.
I think 2 of them are out.
No, one
Just
is out.
one's out?
Just one.
Fuck.
So there are 2 from 12 months ago because we were out here
Stunning.
for
Yeah.
Rob's birthday last year.
I gotta figure out what the last one was because I think we were actually at each other's throats in that one. I felt that was a really good episode. Because
No, we're not at each other's throats until there's a crotch punching.
so we were at each other's throats.
Yeah.
Usually the crotch punching doesn't start. for-
Absolutely.
Well,
First
that's
48
That's
hours.
generally the line you get over is, you know, it's going bad when the first crotch gets punched. You know,
Right.
but you haven't lost control yet. You just now it's like, okay, maybe
Right.
we should scroll this back down again,
Right.
and then you always get stuck in the phase 2 of crotch punching. Is you always get in crotch punch equalization, where you're trying to make sure that everyone has been punched in the crotch
Right.
the exact same number
mutually
of times.
assured destruction phase of
Yeah.
the punchery.
This
And-
makes sense.
And it makes complete sense if you were ever a young boy at high school.
Right.
Yeah. It makes no sense to anyone else, but if you were a young boy at high school, you go, oh, yeah.
It makes maybe more sense than an old man at a high school.
Yeah.
You went to Catholic school too.
Yeah.
There's a word for an old man at high school.
Did you ever hear the what's the reverse exorcism?
All right, let's
Oh no,
let's move
we're
on.
about to have.
Oh, come on. Yeah, all right, fine.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's when you tell the priest to get out of the kid.
You know, kissing on once, you can kissing on twice, but don't get into the habit.
So I did think of one possible topic for us if we're on. Well, actually, we haven't talked to Russ at all yet.
Huh? What?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I was telling Tony when I got here, I had perhaps the most uneventful travel maybe ever.
So
Everything just went
right.
according to plan.
no drink
No
immediately
seizures.
dumped in your lap.
No, yeah.
Oh
it was,
man, I can't go to Texas or back without getting a medical call.
Yeah.
And like the last 2 times it was like, well, I guess that's not true because I guess I got a pretty uneventful one the last time I went, but before both ways it was like medical calls. I was like, what the fuck?
But Russ was saying he had, he had the day before he flew up here, he had, 11 meetings
Yeah.
or something in the day.
It's preposterous, right? Because at some point I thought, well, I was exerting some control over my life by, sort of enforcing a default meeting does not need to be an hour
Right.
or even 45 minutes. Let's get the unit down to half an hour. But all that means is now,
Now,
I can have
you can now have 16 in a
right,
day.
exactly. What a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So like, I'm going to go back to the default duration's got to be 2 hours.
I started
And that way-
putting weird shit on my calendar. It says also like peanut butter. People can't go at me with that. Peanut butter and integration time. I don't know. It was
Oh, I had to.
weird stuff like that.
I had to, in my calendar at Microsoft, I had to put from 5 in the morning to like 10.
Yeah.
I had to put a consistent meeting across. Oh, actually, no, it was 5:03 or something. It was some really early time, and we're on the Pacific, coast of the US.
Right.
But I had to put that in there to stop Europe and Japan calling me.
What are
They
they thinking?
they'd call at 5 in the
Thinking they're
morning.
awake.
Yeah.
I'm like, gentlemen, I'm not taking a meeting call at 5 in the morning.
Right. I mean, I feel bad for. We have got a lot of folks that are on the West Coast that I work with, but then we're
Come
also
3
we're also
o'clock,
working with
they're
a lot
just
of
dead.
Europeans and folks on the East Coast. So these poor folks are constantly on these,
Well,
6:30.
right, but the thing
It's a terrible way to live your life.
the reason I took a hardcore stance on that is that the East Coast people and that they have no problem of telling you, no, that's 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
I'm done.
I can't take that call, right?
The partner on my team.
But you call me at like the crack of sparrow fart in the morning, to
I didn't know that was a time of reference.
You know,
or reference.
and it's like, I'm like, okay, look, there is a crotch punching for hypocrisy that's about to happen.
We're going to have an international incident.
Oh man. Well, new
Well, this is, sorry, Rob. Actually,
Never mind.
back when I worked at Microsoft Australia, we had they were releasing when we launched Visual C++ the first time.
Russ, your headphones are on backwards.
They were doing this call to organize because we were
It might be
actually
more comfy.
we were giving you the opportunity to buy the product and get a free CD drive because it was one of the first products that Microsoft shipped that had a CD in it. So if you bought Visual C++, we'd give you a coupon that you could fill in and they would ship you a CD drive, right? And this was hard. So the Europeans and the Americans wanted to have a conference. And I was the one guy that's, if you think about the world, Australia is 120 degrees out of sync with Europe and the US.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the Europeans like, well, we can do this call at 4 in the afternoon, and the Americans in the in Seattle, like, 4 in the afternoon. Okay, that's 9 in the morning. Okay, that's fine. I was like, gentlemen, that is 2 a.m. for me, right? And the first meeting goes, and it was basically the Europeans and the Americans abusing each other for 60 minutes. And then at the end of it, they said, we haven't answered the question. We'll do this call again tomorrow at the same time.
Let's make this a standing meeting.
Right? I'm like, okay, so we go to the next meeting. So fortunately, I lived all of like maybe 800 meters from Microsoft Australia's building, so I could like get up at 2 a.m, you know, come into the building and
Wearing your fuzzy jammies.
yeah, it's
just
It's got a little blankie.
I had my Ugg boots on, and so
his spice latte.
so I come in, and then the second day, the same thing happens again, and they ended up at the end of that. They're like, "Oh, look, we still can't get agreement. Well, let's do this again tomorrow." I'm like, "Whoa, gentlemen, how about we hold it at 9 a.m. my time tomorrow?" Because then I explained the whole 120 thing. I said, well, you know, what that would mean is that would be 6 a.m. European time and like 8 p.m. US time or something. And they're like, no, I think we can all come to agreement that what we're going to do is just process these cards. We spent 3 hours arguing this thing, but until it actually bit you fucks in the ass, you're like, let's have another meeting, you know.
Right.
They got to, like, PMs have to prove their worth. That's all they do.
Well,
Come on, John. Like,
if I was rich enough to
sat at this table like grooming's done, and now I just got to do this meeting.
if I was rich enough to be able to fly first class anywhere in the world, that night I would have flown to Europe with 4-inch nails and a hammer, and I would have like made a bunch of European product managers pay up for what they did to me. Yeah.
Oh Jesus, for sure. It's gonna be one of those. What was I don't want to go the Wick style. I want to go Liam Neeson when he did the whole Lost thing.
I have
a set of skills.
I have a set of skills that are bad for people just like you. Yeah.
That literally is the slogan on the bottom of every one of his emails.
Exactly. Every Jira story.
Every Jira story.
I have a business card that 'cause I discovered years ago that at the time, Microsoft had an automated system to create business cards. And the only gating, the filtering that they did is they said you couldn't be an officer of the company.
Oh, jeez.
Right? So you couldn't claim to be a director or a president or a vice president.
But you could put whatever title you wanted on there.
Everything else, as long as it didn't use the words that legal had said, implies that you are an officer of the company.
Crown Prince is available.
So I had General Secretary for a while. And then my last card was Somewhat Evil Minion. You know.
Oh, no.
And people,
they really never give a fuck what you put on those cards.
People are like, why did you say somewhat evil? I said, well, everyone's done evil minion, but it's the somewhat that sells it.
One of the guys I worked with, his actual title was Code Jedi or something like that. And I'm like, just some of those old school guys were just weird like that.
Well, they didn't care because the HR system didn't, like, there was no text string that the HR system cared about. You were a level, 60 blah.
A programmer 3.
Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
They didn't care that your actual business title was, somewhat evil Jedi, right?
In the startup world, it's completely meaningless, right? You can be a 6 months out of school and be a senior dev architect.
Oh, these days.
And actually, I remember we hired a guy one time as part of the negotiation. He was like, yeah, we're putting the offer together. He's like, yep, and I like the numbers look good. The variable comp looks good. Can the title have the word architect in it? And we're like, yep, sure, yeah,
whatever you want.
You're an architect, buddy. Go ahead. You're doing the same shit.
Well, so like, I spun up my own company, because I needed an entity that could bill people, right? And you got to do it properly. You can't sort of just, as much as I would like, as much as I would like to say, just give me a bag of cash, in a brown paper bag, just pass it.
I'll sort it out with the IRS on my time.
Pass it across the pub table, and nothing more will be said, right? No, you sort of have to go through this process. So I have my company
on the dresser.
Don't look me in the eye.
I have my company, but I refer to myself as owner. On the company because that's basically I am the owner of the company.
Yeah.
But I see all these other people that have like one person companies and their title is CEO.
Right.
I mean,
I'm like,
I guess
you're a one-person company.
You're also the plumber.
You're the janitor.
chief latrine officer.
There is this title inflation.
Yeah.
And
Startups killed that.
Well, yeah.
No one even really I worked for so long as a CTO, and everybody's just like, who knows what you really did with that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I fucking did the job.
You just some dude.
Terrible.
You just some
did it.
You just some level 59 dude checking in JavaScript test frameworks, right?
In fact, that was the problem I had with. So I'm working with a group now, and they're like, so this is just like an engineer role. I'm like, cool. I'm an engineer then. I don't. You're going from CTO to. I'm like, I don't care. I give so little fucks about all of this.
Companies back. I think in the 2000s. I think it was like the title inflation happened around the .com boom.
Mm-hmm.
And you would get people that, so you should pay me more money, and the company says, I don't want to pay you more money. But how about I call you architect instead?
Right. So when you go to your next job, you get more money there.
And people are, I like that. And it's like, well, does my responsibilities change? No, you're still like the
guy. Still cleaning the toilets.
You're still the guy you're still the guy checking in test frameworks, right? But now you're called an architect.
Exactly.
Right? Woohoo! You know what I mean?
Shit. I don't know. So that was one of the things they were like, are you sure about this? I'm like, I don't care. I'm so done with titles at this point.
But it makes it hard to hire, I would think, because you can't look at, there's no parity.
You have
across,
to look at what their experience is.
Right.
And I'll put it this way. If it's 5 years or less, noob. If it's 5 years over, mid-level. If it's over 10, maybe you're a senior. Let's fucking test that.
Well, then it's the question of, is it 10 years of the same year being repeated over and over
exactly
again,
just cleaning that toilet again and again. I agree, and that's why I say at that point then I start testing, because I'm not going to give you that title without but no, title inflation and startup inflation is a thing anybody can build.
And you end up with trying to hire you can't hire people on title. You have to look at a job experience, which is actually the right thing to do, right?
I'm fine with that.
So this is it's like we're playing 4D chess then with the title.
Well, we're trying to chew on the pieces a bit.
We have accidentally backed into the right answer, right?
Like any good software professional.
I don't know what you do, but I better at least see 5 years of something.
You got to look at people's LinkedIn things, or not LinkedIn, but you got to look at their job history. It's easier these days to look on, because they have a LinkedIn profile and you can see what they've done, right? I was looking at some LinkedIn things, and people that now are like, I'm a senior program manager at, Foo Computing or whatever. And you go back to their history, and the history is, 5 years ago, they were slinging coffee at Starbucks line cook at Waffle House, right? And it's like
chief architect of eggs.
It's like, now there are many jobs that you can. A job has a certain set of characteristics that you need to be able to do, and it has a certain set of knowledge that you need to have.
I'd hire someone from Waffle House for this stuff.
Right,
they have to deal with Waffle House drunks all the fucking time. That guy is going to be
it's going to make him well suited to working.
Absolutely, my crybaby nerds are going to be fucking under his foot in a moment.
We are always hot and ready at Waffle House. Right?
That's right. And I might hire. I now know what I'm doing in my next business.
But if you think about it, there's like
it's going to go well.
If you're a project manager and you're managing schedules and timings and so on, you need to know how to manage schedules, timing, and that. Whether you're a project manager for a concrete street, highway company, or you're a project manager for a software company,
or a concrete mob company,
or a northeast US garbage,
absolutely,
corporation,
Hail Princeton, baby,
right? The thing you need to know is the bit about how to be a project manager.
Right. Who's doing what, when.
Right. You don't need to know the engineering or science behind concrete, right? Or behind trash recovery or whatever, right? And so
kind of doesn't hurt
when you look at jobs, and that's why, I actually don't care if you come from, Waffle House line cook, and suddenly you're chief architect at a software company.
Finally, Tony accepts me.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I don't care if that's the thing. It's like, did you get the knowledge through the process to be able to say,
can you do this?
Can I do the architect bit? And then, architect's probably a wrong thing because people are going to read it and go, oh, you can't be an architect unless you understand the technology. Yes, true. Okay, got it, right? But you can do sales for financial companies, and you can do sales for software companies. The aspect of being a salesman is the same in both cases.
Right.
You don't need to really be able to say, well, we're better because we use a minus OG on our compiler settings when we do this, when we cut out the debug information. On the flip side, you can't ever get a dump that will tell you what the fuck happened in your environment, but we're 3% faster, right? The salesman doesn't care about that. He's like,
that also applies to Cinelette.
Yeah. I thought we had switched over to Cinelette.
I've got a little bit. I've got a bunch of technical people that can come in and talk to you about exactly how we're faster. Yeah. But that, but in some roles, no, you need to understand the thing, and so the bit you need to understand changes in the role. It doesn't, necessarily, it's not in concrete for everything, but that's why you don't need to look back too far to say, okay, did you get the experience to be the thing that you need to be?
Right.
Rather than the technology or the underlying, bit you're working on. Right. You don't need to be an expert in that. You need to be an expert in something else.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can see that. But, it might help to understand concrete as well.
One would expect so.
Talking about using project managers as your example,
you feel attacked?
No, I don't feel attacked because I'm not a project manager. I feel for project managers because
I'm sorry.
When you're describing the fact that it's kind of you're managing schedules, it's the same regardless of whether it's software or construction. That's true, but I'm also realizing as you say that how absolutely powerless they are to actually affect change. Right? They're basically they're there to report on how far off are we from where we thought we were going to be. I have no material control over.
I think what they're there to do is to get the blocks aligned in the best temporal path.
Yeah.
Right? I have 100 blocks that are all different shapes and sizes. How do I, and with different dependencies.
And I have really no idea what's going on inside of those blocks because I don't need to.
How do I assemble them so that they happen in the shortest period of time? Right. And that's the skill that they have, is being able to do that, and this is where I think, because I was a project manager for AT&T, Global Information Services, and deploying.
I keep forgetting you worked for them.
Deploying networks for financial institutions, right? And now I'm not a networking engineer's asshole, right? It's like, I understand the technology because I've been in the software industry for 35 years, right? I understand the technology. I understand what's happening with the packet as it moves through the thing. But if you ask me, well, how far away does the STP priority, the spanning tree protocol number have to be to ensure I know it exists. I don't know how. It's like, and so a network engineer is worth his weight in gold because they understand all of that detail. But I could deploy. I could run projects for financial companies deploying networks because I knew enough to do it. But I think in software, you end up with a lot of the times that project manager bleeds into the program manager or the lead dev sort of, or the architect role. And the project manager is now, well, how do we do disparate network access here? And they're not the right person to answer that question.
Yeah.
We never got to my topic.
What was your topic?
No, we're not going there now
because we're getting dangerously close to agile methodology.
We are. I'm adjusting the in-flight.
You've thrown in Cinelette 3 times so far into the discussion, and and Russ and I have both just moved past it.
It's fine. It's what I expect. No, that wasn't the topic. Actually, one of the ones I did want to talk about.
Was post-production the topic?
I gave you the whole fucking opener. Just get in line now. All right, so the core of what I wanted to actually talk about, other than my other subject that I'll hint at and never give, AI. We talked about it a while back and what it would do. How do we feel we're at now that we're a year in from our last fucking opinions on it that no one remembers?
I feel like it's maybe 2 years in.
It might be 2. You might wrong.
Yeah. First of all, give me a minute because I'm trying to figure out a way to tie this into the Incinelette so that could be what we really talk about.
So while you think about this, I would like
I'll play the Jeopardy music. What button is that one? Nope.
Not that one.
Oh, maybe this one. All right, there we go.
Yeah, we have no Jeopardy music, right?
Damn it. I'm adding that one now.
Too cheap.
I think
we can't afford this.
What we have watched at the cabin for the last couple of days is these random videos that are AI generated by somebody that's doing stormtrooper vlogs.
Oh yes,
right.
Yeah.
So think about it. You're a stormtrooper in the Star Wars universe, and the guy's got his selfie stick out there. He's a stormtrooper. He's dressed up. He's 20. It's all AI generated, and it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, and it's the visuals are AI generated. The script is clearly written by somebody that has,
done the job,
has played in the sand at some point, right? And the thing, the AI part of it is doing fantastic well, but you can still see that it is artificial intelligence,
right?
Joint thing. I think I'm not enough of an AI guy to sort of go, what is the technical difference between the image generating AIs and the LLMs? Like, I know what an LLM does, but I don't know what the DALL-E and so on image generating stuff. Yeah, I don't know how they work.
It's almost the same idea, but just they have massive amounts of images.
It has to be because the LLM,
and they put definitions around what those those key features of it are. Because one of my favorite things ever that happened was they were trying to use AI to check out which bees were coming in and attacking the hives. So they put up a bunch of cameras, and nothing kept coming up. It was kind of weird. And then they learned that the AI had, what they were doing is they're putting pictures of bees down, but they were also putting little rulers next to them so you know how big they were and everything.
Oh, okay.
The AI had fed itself and said, oh, ruler, it must be a bee, because I see this ruler in every shot, while the bees are different every time. So this must be a bee. So the first rounds of this AI they're trying to build is like, if you put a ruler in, like, shit, bees everywhere. But
there's, if you read that report of from the U.S. Department of Defense when they rolled out an AI security system that worked on cameras and so on, and they tasked a U.S. Marine unit to come and test it out, and the guys tried to come in and they get caught,
right?
And what they ended up doing was putting cardboard boxes over their heads.
They literally are bringing back Snake. Right. This is so awesome.
And they wandered in with a cardboard box over their head because the AI system was, human? No, a human doesn't look like a cardboard box. So we can ignore that. That's a problem. That's clear as the spurious data. And so the guys, you can imagine 6 heavily armed U.S. Marines with cardboard boxes on their heads, wandering up to the thing.
Playing Metal Gear. Yeah.
They're very good at that sort of stuff in certain, circumstances. I think I've always thought the biggest problem with the AI world, and this is all the people I vibe code, and I saw a thing on the front of Bing's homepage, MSN's homepage, saying I make $20,000 a month vibe coding. I'm like, well, good for you, okay,
now support it when it fucking fails.
Right, but I'm like,
I'm not better.
If you don't know You don't know. No, but they don't know the.
I know.
You cannot judge the quality of the output unless you know how to make the output.
Right.
So you look at like the code that comes out, so if you don't know, you're like, well, that works.
That's why they won't hire junior developers suddenly, right?
That aspect of AI where, the vibe coding aspect of this, it seems like yet another attempt at low code solutions, right? Which the promise is always of,
they don't care how much code it is. It's low
analysts
time.
Can implement their own software.
It's low time, low knowledge.
I feel like I'm not a believer.
What was it called in the 80s? It was called, they had, it was going to be you're going to make programming, obsolete. It was called CASE.
Yeah.
You're right. Computer-aided engineering. Right? I do remember that. And fuck, we had that everywhere.
You were supposed to be able to, as a database guy,
right?
You could just describe how your app should look,
and the
CASE tool was going to build your thing for you. And
arguably, like Visual Paradox and VB were yet again like, oh look, it's going to be a drag and drop. You don't have to, you don't have to have deep technical skills to do this.
So I argue with you, Russ, on VB, and the reason being is because I was a VB product manager.
Actually, yes, you might have an opinion on this.
And
a hot opinion, maybe.
The thing that VB gave you was that most of the users of VB wanted to write Windows apps.
Yeah.
The challenge to writing Windows apps was the Windows API, and you wanted to do, if you wanted to put So Rob knows this because he's written C-based window API apps, right? You want to put a button on a screen in a Windows app with no frameworks behind you. There is a shit ton of code that you have to write,
fucking shoehorn in,
just to get the button to appear, right? And Charles Szymanski, like the first third
Petzold.
Charles Petzold.
Sorry.
The first third of his book is about all the crap code you have to write just to get the button to appear. And that's what you had to do. So VB's thing was not, hey, we can let any tard write an app. It was, what we can do is make the barrier of Windows go away.
Yeah, right.
And now any person can write a Windows app, but you still need to be now. The fact that there were a lot of bad devs wrote VB apps is sort of immaterial.
Let's not disparage VB based on the actions.
No, let's disparage VB based on
very is the root of all evil.
But I do think it has proved to be it's a very useful tool for prototyping, for drafting. But again,
it removes the blank canvas problem.
Yeah, but you've got definitely, and that's a big problem for me. Like, and so it's been great in terms of being able to move something forward. But you've got to be able to judge it.
Right, and that's the point that I'm making. Is you have to be able to judge the quality that comes out.
Well, and I guess to roll this back into some of the things I don't think we talked about last time. The people that
was that Cabin Part 2? Cabin Part 3?
I think AI was a home one, but anyway, my
we actually can't look at the shipped podcast list to see what we talked about.
Carry on, no, because we've talked about everything. Come on, bring it. Come on, more.
We all know whose fault this is.
It's Alpine's.
So I will say, Rob, talking about AI makes me think of machine learning.
Yeah,
and learning about machines. And today I learned about a machine known as an Encinolet.
Okay, so
nice that was Tony's.
That's nice work.
That was Russ's.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as part of the requirement for
poop smoke
for our cabin, we are only allowed to have one plumbed-in toilet to a septic tank. The people that built the cabin that we bought from decided that, well, they're going to get around that by...
It didn't say anything about not plumbed in toilet.
They said nothing about fire.
So
they said nothing about fire.
There is a toilet called an Encinolet. which you basically put a
gross.
a little paper taco shell in. You
And
crap
then
in
throw it
that.
down the hill when it doesn't burn.
It drops into
15 years later.
It drops into a bucket that is heated to pyroclastic
It's not
temperatures.
a bucket. It's a now that I've seen it, it's a fucking ashtray.
It looks like a toaster oven.
Right.
A little bit.
They were not lying about the don't let it go over 2 inches.
Oh yeah, because that's exactly how fucking big that bowl was.
They burn it.
I know so much more.
They
about
push the smoke out the back, and then you can just take the ashes out that are now 100% safe because there is no human material in them. We had to use nitrile gloves while we were taking a look at the incinerator.
The minute I finished that, I was like, Russ, you have to open the door. I've literally been just sticking my hand in this fucking bucket.
It's because
I'm walking around carrying a little pie tin of poop, burnt poop, and I'm like, I fucking flew up here for this. What's going on?
no,
This is your birthday. You're carrying this shit. Literally carrying
this
a
shit.
bucket of shit.
Russ,
around.
you were incorrect. You were carrying a little dish of partially burnt.
You know what? He's got you on a technicality, Russ.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
So
what have we learned about our poop smoke?
what we've learned is that, if you have a system designed specifically to evacuate smoke based on the output of a vacuum generated by a squirrel cage blow up,
It's literally looks like this.
and the squirrel cage itself has rusted away, then your ability
And has
And
a
had no
squirrel
bolts.
vertebra in it.
and
it had a squirrel.
and has some small mouse like vertebrae spine cord thing involved in it. Then
It's like that's an animal. Like no shit.
that has a very skeletal feel to it, doesn't it?
That's what was happening. It's like,
Yeah.
that's an animal. Like, there you go.
When I pulled it out, in my defense, when I pulled it out, if anyone has worked with old electronics, they can have this white. It's I want to say cotton, but it's not cotton. But it's like a white fabric,
Fiberglass.
a white fabric sleeve
It's
of
fiberglass.
things, and often that gets old and breaks off. And
It's
sitting there, right?
fiberglass because it can hold temperature.
And I was looking at that. I'm like, oh, that could be something that's come off a wire that's aged off. And then I pulled it out. I'm like, and I said, what's that? And it has
Fiberglass.
It has a very animal-y feeling to it.
Well, yeah, spine. That was for sure. I was like, what the fuck this is?
There was some rodent that died right there. Now, I cannot, because I'm not a medical examiner, I cannot tell you, did it die after the poop smoke incident? Did
Or
it die
before,
during the
during,
poop smoke incident? Was it just happily sitting there because it was warm and dry?
Yeah.
And suddenly it just got a face full of poop
Just thinking
smoke?
about what a good day it was having. I found a warm place to retire.
Here's the thing. I now know what had happened. So was there a Rats and M2? Maybe this is Rats and M3. But they're like, okay, we're gonna need the bolts from this motor because we're gonna need to grab all this motor in order to save our new colony. And then my son goes in there and presses the button with the motor out of there. Oh no! And it hits him and then disintegrates. And then
apocalypse
he's
now
knocked in the corner. It was Rats and M3. I'm standing by it.
Well, I'm now of the opinion that maybe the
I'm drinking this whiskey.
maybe the Incinelette wasn't assembled correctly. Right?
Yeah.
No, think about it. Because remember,
It had to have worked for some point.
No, so think about it. The motor,
the bolts are missing too, right? They're not in there.
The motor setup is a blower motor with a squirrel cage fan on the end of it.
Let's
right?
pause for a moment. We really should bring we are talking about stuff that in our visual medium we have not. We've not talked about. So
paint a picture with your words.
yes. So let's say we took the top off, and the first thing we realized is that
when we say top, all right, let's step back
even further back.
Right, imagine a toilet, like your toilet seat. Everyone's seen a toilet seat. Now, build a metal box underneath the toilet seat.
Right.
Right. And it's a normal toilet seat height. It's everything. So it's basically a metal box. That metal box, that's the Incinilet.
Yes.
The way you look into it is there's a panel on the side and you can take the top off.
Right.
Go forth and pontificate.
So yes, 4 bolts take off the top? Four bolts and the knob for the for the button.
The little
power knob.
Please burn my poop knob. The button. Yeah.
Well, so we took that off and we kind of immediately knew what was wrong. There's only like 5 things in there total. We'd taken out the bottom and said, well, that's definitely more than 2 inches worth of crap in there. Maybe that's what killed it, literally. Yeah. And then so we're off dumping that while Tony's pulling the rest of it out.
Then I take the top off it.
And we take the top off, and then you can literally look down, and there's 4 things in there. The main, whatever you call the electrical system.
There's the bit the poop drops through.
Yeah.
There's the pan where it burns.
Right.
There's the controller setting stuff. And there's the blower motor. And so I picked the blower motor up, and it has a squirrel cage.
Literally, he picked it up. He didn't unscrew it from he picked it straight up.
So what I think, and I went looking to see, okay, did the screws rust out or something? There's no evidence of the screws there.
Wherever there.
But there was a tiny screwdriver next to that mouse skeleton. So
it was trying to escape. I admit that, right?
I told you, rats and him.
But what I think they've done is I think they've put the blower motor in and forgot to screw it in place.
Was it ever used before we used it?
Oh, yeah. I'm assuming. Well, I don't know if the previous cabin owners used it.
That's what I'm wondering. It's like, did they think they fixed it when they sold it and no one used it before Zach did? Because it all makes sense to me now. Because what happened is Zach used it, pressed the button, the motor's connected to fucking nothing and a rusted out squirrel wheel. That thing that's why it sounded like the fucking cabin was rolling down the side of the hill, because it's rattling around in there like a goddamn D6.
No, so they must have used it because the metal wouldn't have rusted away so much.
It's all
but without the heat,
fair,
right? Because it's only 20 years old. It's not. It's not 200 years old, right?
30.
You know, that squirrel cage thing would have gone all rusty if it had just been sitting there. But I think it had to,
which it's at least been doing for a decade plus now.
I think it had to be used with to get the heat, to get the corrosion to happen the way it did.
Yeah.
But I think when they assembled it at the factory, they put the motor in, and then they forgot to put the screws that hold the motor down.
Someone's been in there.
No. You think about it. The motor.
I am thinking about it.
This is Occam's razor, and what Tony's presenting.
Schrodinger screws.
Makes more sense than
the little thing that it sits on is has lips. So they've put the motor in, and they meant to screw it down. And the dude, because these things are not high volume production, right?
There's not
every house.
There's not a line that's just spitting out like thousands of Incinelets a day.
Right.
Why are all these screws here? That's weird.
So they've done this, and the guy's gone, okay, that's like the whistle's gone off. So I'm going to get, I'm on break now or whatever. Yeah. But I think what's happened is because there is a gap. There's usually a gap between the motor and the squirrel cage that's on the blow up.
Right.
I think what's happened is that's given it enough space that the folded edges of the space can hold the blower motor in place.
Yeah. Maybe the weight of the user is what's kind of keeping.
Well, Zach didn't weigh that much. Maybe that's part of it. No way.
Yeah.
It's under the main lip.
But anyway, the entire squirrel cage actually rusted out. And that, I think, was the proximate cause of
when it. So that the squirrel cage shredded whatever the fuck was left of it. Rattled all over that fucking thing.
I think what's happened
blew a motor fuse.
So I think there is probably more damage to the Incinilet than just the.
No, we got to go through the electrical, and no one wanted to do that today.
Because I think what's gone on when we looked at the partially charcoal poop, I think
partial is surely.
I think what has gone on is because of the lack of airflow it's thrown a temperature sensor that said, like, no, we got to turn this off or otherwise we're going to burn down the house thing, right?
Right.
Now that
does create great marbling, though.
So what that has meant is that you didn't get your poop, you didn't get the poop burned down to fine ash. What you got was burnt down to sort of, Vesuvian poop, right? And so, I think that's where it ended up. So
Vesuvian poop would be a great name for a death metal band.
Absolutely.
Just put that out there.
Yeah.
That's our death metal band.
I look forward to the next episode of the podcast. So, return to Vesuvian poop. Yeah.
Well, this is already Return the Incinelat. I mean, what do you want?
So, but anyway, we don't know if to come back to the Incinelat. Let's finish the Incinelat story.
Sensor.
We don't know if there is a thermal sensor that tripped
cooked
or
off,
whatever.
Yeah.
What we do know is that the squirrel cage is broken, and possibly the element might have been gone because it didn't get enough airflow to keep the element cool.
I bet the element's fine.
No, but when you say cool, what you mean is keep it, like, it wants to go up to 500 degrees.
But not 700.
You don't want it to go to 700.
Right.
But so if you draw air through it, it cools it to 500. But if you don't draw air, it goes to 700. Then the thermal sensor turns that off.
Yeah.
Because the next thing after 700 is catastrophic failure with everyone dying. So they want to stop that.
Not only is this a top secret mission that we're literally talking about on a podcast that anyone can listen to, now we need to put top secret bets on it.
Nobody can find out about
nobody
this.
listening. Nobody listening,
tells Sarah.
Nobody listening to this podcast can tell the Cabin LLC that we investigated the failure of the Incinelat.
And
because
we have a solution.
After the poop smoke Incinelat incident, which was covered in episode 3 of this podcast,
I think it's 7, but it's fine.
It was one of our back catalog. Go listen to it. I'm not going to tell the story again.
Yeah, get your digs in, you bitches.
And we were banned from fixing the Incinelat. And so, seeing that it was just the 3 of us out here, and Alpine.
He's not on patrol right now. I'm so proud of him.
The 3 of us are perfectly capable of keeping a secret.
It's recorded in the podcast.
Absolutely, because
I know that was your joke, but it hit really hard.
We are never going to tell anyone.
Nobody at all.
Thumbs the word.
Yeah, because this episode will never get released.
And that's the funny double part that Russ was making. Was he saying, Rob's never going to post-product this.
I fucking got where he's going with it, which is why I started
Yeah.
laughing. And I was like, you fucking prick. I love it. So there's going to be a part 3. I need our bets. I think the element's fine.
What, in Incinelat part 3 or podcast part 3? Because we're already on part 4.
It's Incinelat part 3.
He's confused because he hasn't actually shipped part 3 yet.
So. It's like,
well, he hasn't shipped part 2 either.
Well, no, that's exactly.
There's more than this, actually. So anyway, the Incinelat bet. I think the element's fine. I think the motor's cooked.
I'm with you. I think the element's fine. I think the control system is fine. I think the motor for the squirrel cage may be fine.
Squirrel cage is not fine.
The squirrel cage is clearly not fine.
The squirrel clearly did not think the squirrel cage was fine.
Definitely not.
Well, the squirrel clearly went all Chuck Norris on his cage and proceeded to escape into like the environment somewhere.
The motor's cooked or a fuse went off.
No, but this is, I think
I'm serious now. No, jokes are over. This podcast gets serious now.
I am deadly serious about this. I think the heating element
is fine.
I think the heating element went full bore.
Yeah.
And it heats
as
up.
Expected.
And the fan is meant to cool the heating element a bit.
And pull the poop out.
And pull the poop smoke out to the side of the house so you don't have the poop smoke.
I've said the amazing marbling.
But I think what's gone on is because there's no airflow through it, because the squirrel cage died,
right?
The heater has tripped the thermal control.
Sure.
And that's stopped it. That's turned off the element before before the poop can be turned to complete ash.
Okay.
Because the cycle runs for an hour, right? So when you push you push the button, it turns on the heating element, it turns on the fan, it runs for an hour. So it is clearly cooking down the poop.
Yeah, like an easy bake oven.
Like an easy bake oven, right?
It's love.
Right. And it's getting rid of that. And then at the end of it, you're supposed to end up with ash. You're not supposed to end up with Vesuvius turd.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
need some salt.
Well, so between you guys and me, right? Between us and the gatepost,
us and the guy in
we have to clean the deck with the power washer the next time I'm out here.
Oh yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the little bin that's in the Incendilet. I'm going to give it a power washing so that we can get back to the...
Please fucking do. Jesus Christ, that was gross.
Yeah.
We'll get back to it.
Absolutely.
Well, because you guys emptied it and
it was actually adorable because
and the petrified...
Russ is like, I'll take it this far and you're on your fucking own now. And I'm like, all right, I guess it's me. You were like, no,
wander off into the woods.
And I was like, right over here is fine.
The carbonized poop was still attached to like the wall thing. And I'm like,
I know.
Yeah, that didn't empty as cleanly as I was hoping. So I think we can just.
And that was even after I stuck my fucking hand in it. I'm like, no, I'm good.
Right. So we're gonna.
This is by far our grossest episode.
We're gonna do the deck.
Bet.
And then while the LLC is going to come up here and make their lunch and everything. And then I'm just going, I'm just shutting down.
I just got to do this ashtray I found.
And then, turn it all off. Everything's done.
I love this render.
It will be the quickest poop pan cleaning in the history of being. It'll be the Formula One of poop pan cleaning. Right.
So I think a fuse, the motor's dead or a fuse is dead. I think the main element's fine. I think if you replace the motor, the squirrel cage, and whatever that possible fuse is, you're good to shit.
You're absolutely wrong. It's haunted.
It's all right. Russ is going for haunted. All right. I respect your moxie on this one.
I am not willing to rule out haunted. Right.
So what's your bet then?
No, my bet is exactly what it says. I think the fan
motor's
went
good or dead.
The fan went. The element
is fine.
Raised the temperature too high, too quickly. That
panicked
that threw a thermal breaker.
Kernel panicked.
And you're saying.
Rob's saying the same thing.
A little bit. I'm trying to figure out where he sits.
I keep tuning you guys out when you start talking, so I'm not quite sure if you're
It's a little shiny and smooth. I get it. The difference is I want to know if he thinks the motor's good or not, because I think he thinks the motor's good, and I think the motor's cooked.
No, I don't. I don't know if the motor died.
We're literally playing with the nuances.
So for ladies and gentlemen, because the podcast is a visual medium,
absolutely,
a squirrel cage.
I'm going to go perform an exorcism on the toilet.
Absolutely.
I think exorcism is a non-trivial, small number. But
the pyro of crap.
A squirrel cage fan is typically a flat surface with an axle on it, and then it comes out, and from the edge of the circle, blades come down, and then it either has a full circle or it just has a partial
I'd have gone a whole different way like
hold
this.
The blades in place. And what has happened is the blades have rusted out. So half of the squirrel cage has just fallen off. And that means it does not move air anymore. And not moving air is what we in the engineering community call bad. And so...
I shit you not.
Right. And so what I don't know if the motor that spins it has gone wrong.
And that's where my bet's at. I think the motor has gone wrong.
And I think it probably hasn't gone wrong. I think the motor is probably fine.
So then it's a fuse.
But the squirrel cage fell apart and that created the whole death knell of the Incendilet that ended up with me, sitting down there going, this smells like somebody crapped on your face and set it on fire.
I'm gonna land this like Air India 767.
It was 787, so you got the plane wrong.